Chapter 251 had no asspools written in it, but for some reason people don't like it. In today's video I would like to discuss the details you missed in the chapter, and why nothing was wrong about the chapter. With new information coming out about World Cutter, it seems I was partly right in thinking hand signs and chants are needed to expand a dismantle target. But I was wrong in thinking hand signs and chants are just used to amp World Cutter, but Chapter 255 state they are conditions to activate it. At first Sukuna only needed a single hand sign as a condition to activate World Cutter, but since he was missing an arm he needed to place a binding vow that would ensure he can release that World Cutter that killed Gojo without needing hand signs, but in return all future World Cutter needed both hand signs and chants, and for him to manually place its trajectory using his palms. Sukuna literally cheated that binding vow since his true form can meet all those conditions. Now let's discuss the fight in 251. And its theme of gambling, which both parties did. Yuta and Yuji were gambling on the fact that Sukuna would release Hollow Wicker Basket, and they would win the fight if they wake up Megumi's soul, while Sukuna was gambling on the fact that he might get a moment to release World Cutter when taking on Angel's CT. Sukuna couldn't use World Cutter due to maintaining Hollow Wicker Basket. It's probably because Sukuna needed a third extra arm to set the trajectory. And with Yuji lowering Sukuna curse energy output, Sukuna knew if he stayed in that position it would be bad for him. This would also explain the gamble he took with the sure hit, because Sukuna knew if he stayed in that position his curse energy would drop to the point he no longer can maintain Hollow Wicker Basket and have enough curse energy to charge up to do world cutting dismantle even with extra output. Amp chance and hand signs gives the curse technique. Remember, chants and hand signs amp the curse energy Sukuna puts into dismantle, so if his curse outputs drops too low the 20% amp wouldn't be enough to power a dismantle to cut space. People saying how he could do a World Cutter with his arms being held by Rika. But if you properly read it you're incorrect. Sukuna aims with his palm for the trajectory of the dismantle that hit Yuta, which clearly means two things. 1. The slashes weren't World Cutter and Sukuna just used chant amp no range dismantle to free himself from Rika while aiming a chant amp dismantle directly at Yuta. This would explain why they didn't die and chant amp only without hand signs is possible, since Gojo did it in Chapter 235 with purple by only using chants, while in Chapter 223 purple he used both chants and hand sign, and skill users can remove one or both from activation of their curse technique, or 2. Sukuna chanted then sent out an amp dismantle to free himself from Rika, then finished the conditions for World Cutter by doing the hand sign and aim at Yuta, thus only Yuta was hit with World Cutter. It's most likely number 1 happened and the slash that hit Yuta, Yuji and Rika was just a amp no range dismantle. Some people keep on misinterpreting Angel's curse technique. You all should think of it as a domain amplification with turning off curse technique and evil burning light as additional effects. Angel curse technique doesn't instantly turn off a person's curse technique located in their brain. This was shown with 15-finger Sukuna, as the light didn't instantly kill him, nor did it turn off his curse technique, as he was able to use cleave and dismantle, and use 10 shadows to get way later. This means Chapter 251 Sukuna was still strong enough to not die to the sure hit or have his curse technique turn off. The sure hit only heavily damaged Sukuna, and the light probably nullified his ability to use his curse technique while under it. But he wasn't hit long enough to have his curse technique be turned off. Sukuna took the gamble and won. Because who is the only other person in the domain expansion that would get affected by the sure hit? Yuji, of course. Thus in order for Yuji to touch Sukuna, Yuta needed to stop the sure hit, which gave Sukuna the chance he needed to the release dismantle. We're nearing the end of the video, and this part of the video is my random interjection. I must say Sukuna just needed to chant his cleave to one-shot them or chant a no-range dismantle at Yuta, Yuji or Rika. Well, I understand why that wasn't possible, because with only one mouth to use in Yuta, Yuji and Rika on him, there's no way they're letting him say the chants to amp cleave, and even with many instances to use amp dismantle, it will only be strong enough at 0 range due to his curse output dropping so low. Sukuna really needed that extra arms and mouth but had no chance to use World Cutter or amp dismantle until Yuji and Megumi provided the time he need to chance only to amp his dismantle. Well, at the end of the day they both took a gamble, but Sukuna won at the end. We have come to the end of the video. I hope you have a nice day.